Your data is for sale, but you will not be receiving any payment for it. You will not be informed of when your data is sold, who it is sold to, or how your data is going to be used. And when I say your data, I'm not just talking about text messages, phone calls, or the kinds of things that the NSA collects. I'm talking about everything that you do within every app and on every website. Everything you search for, what you like, what you dislike, where you shop or go to eat, what you buy, what you order, as well as any assumptions that can be made from analyzing all of this data about you is for sale. And data brokers are what make it all possible. They act as the middlemen for people that are developing apps and websites to sell information about their users. And the data brokers, they might even offer things like promising to anonymize the data so that the dev or the site owner can feel just a bit better about selling the data. But it's a bit of a moot point, because if you have enough information about a subject, then you can very easily de-anonymize them. It's sort of like playing a game of Guess Who. And since data sales is a $200 billion industry, these data brokers, they end up purchasing data from thousands of apps and thousands of companies, which means they have thousands of guesses to figure out exactly who you are. Now, despite all of this information being sold about people, most of us just continue on giving that data away anyway, using apps with built-in trackers, using our loyalty card at supermarkets or restaurants that make it easier for them to track our purchases. But things have changed over the past couple of years. During the pandemic, the CDC was purchasing data about people who were going out past curfew, people who were going to places of worship, and tracking the patterns of people who were visiting K-12 schools. Basically, they were purchasing data about anybody who wasn't following the lockdown procedures to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars, meaning that they were purchasing data about tens, if not hundreds of millions of people. In countries like China, this data was used even more aggressively by the government there to go after its citizens that were not following the lockdown protocols, or to arrest journalists who were reporting on things that went against the official COVID narrative that was in China. In the UK, their Data and Privacy Authority confirmed that the government could use mobile phone data to fight the spread of COVID-19 back in 2020. And I think that all of this fast movement and very open collaboration between the government, big tech, and data brokers, it started getting some people thinking, and it started getting them more concerned about their online privacy. And if you're part of that group who, I guess, got red-pilled on online privacy the past couple of years, then I really hope that you've continued doing your research, because it's not a simple subject, and there's a lot of grifters that are in this space. There's a lot of people who might try to just sell you something and claim that it's going to fix all of your privacy problems, like the Freedom Phone, when in fact it does absolutely nothing to increase your privacy. So I hope you're not falling for any of those scams, and that you're actually trying to understand the underlying technologies to better protect yourself. And I think right now, as fear of the pandemic is dying down, that we're actually about to go through another resurgence in people wanting to secure their data and their online privacy, at least here in America, with Roe v. Wade being overturned, or at least looking like it's going to be overturned, which could make abortion federally illegal. So you can imagine how data like this can be used by authorities to track people who have committed a crime or who might be getting ready to commit a crime. Like if a girl has just missed her period and is looking to go to another state to then have that procedure done, there's a lot of women who actually use apps to track their monthly cycle, like this one here, which is used by over 230 million women around the world. And of course, it's not open source. It has built-in ads and trackers. This app could very well know if you're pregnant before you do, and so does anybody else who decides to buy data from a data broker that this app's developers might have sold that user data to. There was already an incident back in 2012 where apparently Target's product recommendation algorithm was able to discover that a father's teenage daughter was pregnant before he did. There's a bit of speculation as to whether or not this story is real, but the way it goes is that this girl, who I guess had a Target rewards card or something like that, where you get points for your purchases, she bought a pregnancy test, and then a few weeks later, she bought some prenatal vitamins and maybe some morning sickness medicine. And then a couple of months later, she starts getting coupons in the mail for diapers and baby clothes. Well, her dad sees this and he gets pissed at Target. He's thinking that their advertising is encouraging her to get pregnant or something crazy like that, when in reality, their algorithm was just making correct assumptions about the girl and recommending her more products to buy for her soon-to-be baby boy or baby girl. Vice recently did a story about Placer AI, which is a location data firm that offers data heat maps on its website. So this tracking and information that's available about people, it really goes a lot deeper than just knowing whether or not they went to Planned Parenthood. You could actually use this information to cyberstalk someone and potentially figure out where they live and dox them if you're willing to look through all of the free data and potentially pay some money for premium data sets. Or you can use it in any other way. I mean, again, this is coming to light right now where certain people are getting concerned about it because of the abortion thing, but you could literally use this to track people that are going to any type of establishment. And this wasn't even the only data broker that had this specific kind of data for sale. Safegraph is another one that Vice reported on last week. They were also selling data about people who had visited Planned Parenthood locations. Now, the reason I bring to light these two very specific cases of data being used against people, both the COVID examples with the government and the fear of Planned Parenthood data being used against people, is to prove that it doesn't matter who you are, what you do in life, or what you believe. There's an app out there for pretty much everyone of any kind of lifestyle. I actually did another video where I covered a story about over 100 different apps, including Islamic prayer apps and a gay dating app, that were selling data about their users to a data broker called Xmode. I don't think you could create any broader of a spectrum of apps that are selling data about their users to data brokers. So the issue of data privacy, it's an everyone problem. So what can everyone do to avoid this data collection? Well, first you could try to eliminate the use of apps that collect unnecessary data about you. This is actually pretty easy to do on Android phones because on there, you're able to install alternative app stores like F-Droid, where the apps are open source and they usually don't come bundled with any unnecessary trackers. There's also the Aurora store, which will let you use the same apps that you have on Google Play, but they don't require a Google account to use those, which can help remove an additional data point for that app to collect. Another thing that I like about Aurora Store is that they point out when an app has trackers much more clearly than on the Play Store. So it's a lot easier for you to know before installing if this app is going to try to collect data about you. Now, when you go out somewhere, because GPS information can be collected about you as well, and you'd be surprised if you actually look through your permission how many apps request your location data. So you could try turning your phone off. If you aren't expecting any calls or text messages anytime soon, then there's probably no pressing reason for your phone to constantly be on. And that's a surefire way to know that the apps on your phone are not passively tracking you. Plus, you'll probably get more battery life out of your device. People got along just fine for pretty much all of human history without being able to text one another 24/7. And the same can be said for a lot of the apps that people download, whether it's a dating app or an app for tracking your menstrual cycle or an app to figure out when to pray and what direction Mecca is in. All of these are things that humans have been doing for a long time without apps. And if you're someone who is using apps for these things and also concerned about your privacy, then you should probably consider the old school way of doing things that don't have apps and thus don't have any ways of tracking you. So share this video with someone you know who needs better online privacy, which is basically everybody. Like and comment to hack the algorithm, follow me on Odyssey, and have a great day.